to thank you for having me today, and I appreciate the invite. This is a great program, and hopefully sharing my story would help other foreign trained dentists to find viable option to study or practice in United States.
Thank you so much. That's very powerful. And I really look forward to hear to your story and to have this conversation together. So tell me a little bit about why did you choose the United States as a country to practice dentistry?
So this is a interesting question, but and I always thought about it. So I think U.S. We all consider U.S. I do consider U.S. as the land of opportunities. So statistically, and also based on recent ranking in 2020, U.S. had 12 schools among the top 50s. So even though some of the best dental schools are spread across the world, however, I think United States is one of the top countries to truly get a great dental education. The curriculum here is very comprehensive. The technological advances and the stage at which dentists get introduced to them, it is at early on and significantly better. To put things in perspective, dentistry truly, it's a blend of medical science and art. So, and it had to do with one's hands work and skills, which eventually could translate into good dental work and patient satisfaction. But that mastery and great outcomes also depends on the advances of new materials, instrument, machinery, and technologies that are mostly developed in US. Therefore, the dental student here, are more hands-on and they get better experience in that regard. And with such advances, they are able to deliver far better treatments at the end. In addition to that, I truly also believe that US is one of the best places to get funding for research, conduct evidence-based studies, and have lots of resources available, which makes it more attractive and obviously easier. So also for me, other things like having some family here for emotional support, knowing the system, because due to the fact that, my uncle and my cousin, they're over here and study in different medical fields, speaking the language, and these are also important contributing factors. As an international student, the good news is that you qualify and you could apply to most dental schools in the United States. The bad news is that you may have to go to some extra lengths to apply to dental schools, like, taking the test of TOEFL, GRE, National Board, or other tests to get to that point. But luckily, there are many resources that can help us achieving, those goals.
Yeah, that's good. I didn't know that you have family here. I think that helps, that emotional fact, right?
So actually, my uncle unfortunately passed away. But on a side story, my grandfather brought my uncle here over 50 years ago to go to medical school and Columbia University. And he finished and he became a chair of the department. Unfortunately, he passed away in a young age, and his son, that is my cousin, he's also a cardiothoracic surgeon. So and I have a couple other cousins that they're all in a, different area of medical field. And, it's easy. I think that makes it easier or made it easier for me to make the decision to move to US because I was already familiar with the process and with the country per se.
Absolutely. Although everything was aligned and probably a lot of things were easier in that regards, what was the first challenge that you encountered when you came?
So perhaps changing my lifestyle and not having my family with me and basically being on my own and making all the decisions for myself. Adjusting to new environment, culture, making new friends, getting homesick and questioning why even I'm here. Saying that, I think there are so many other challenges that we all face as a foreigner or anyone that is planning to move to a different country. But adapting and accepting the new way of living for sure was my first. In addition to that, I guess passing the exams and applying and getting to dream school, plus the immigration and some economic barriers were among the top challenges as well. In order to complete an educational program in US, international dentists need to request for a visa. And I don't want to get into too much details about that, but basically means no or limited access to a scholarship or loans. So it's really necessary to think about all these financial barrier ahead of time and check with US Dental School's financial aid office regarding financial aids options available, like private loans or any other sort of aids that might be available. In order to become licensed, a dental professional must complete additional training in a ADA CODA accredited programs offered by U.S. Dental School. So although the number of U.S. Dental School that offering this educational program for foreign trained dentists had increased substantially over the past few years, but the available openings are limited, which by itself leads to a very competitive admission process. Furthermore, after you complete your educational program, then foreign trained dentists must be legally either permanent resident or citizen or have a valid legal U.S. visa in order to practice dentistry. So I think going through all this process could be very stressful, time-consuming, and challenging.
The emotional challenge of facing all those things, along with being away from home and maybe homesick, right?
Right, and I think we all face maybe in a different level, but these are unfortunately obstacles or challenges that we all have to face when you make a decision to move and leave your home and to go to any other country for education.
Totally. I'm curious about your lifestyle. You mentioned your lifestyle was different from back home. How so?
So funny story because I was so rely on my family or the people that were in my household taking care of us, doing stuff for us, from cooking to cleaning to basically having someone to discuss and make decisions with. My father had a great role in my life, and so do my mother. So unfortunately, when you leave and you come to any country, in my case, US, even though you have some emotional support family-wise, here I had my uncle and my cousins, but at the same time, that lifestyle changes, so you are on your own. So you have to make all the decisions, on your own. And sometimes you don't want to, you discuss it with your family, but at the end of the day, they're not familiar with everything that happens here. So you are the one that have to basically make all those decisions. So it's not easy when you come at that early age to be able to basically go through all that and make the, right decisions for you.
Absolutely. Those goals that you had as a young dentist coming to this country and basically shaping your journey, what were those goals and dreams that you had?
So, as funny as it sounds, but, I don't know about you, but I wanted to be a doctor, I guess, since I started walking, because I grew up in a family that I had a lot of people around me that they all were doctors or in a different field of medical field. And so I always wanted to become a, doctor, and I wanted to pursue higher education. So a career in dentistry was personally fulfilling for me because it offered many opportunities, challenges, and it was rewarding. I enjoyed the challenge of a lifetime of learning and the cutting edge of modern dentistry and making the practice of dentistry, which makes practice of dentistry even more exciting and rewarding. So dentistry, I think, provided that opportunity for me. Because I thought about, if I want to go to private practice or teach or do research, some public health or some administrative work, or combination of any of those, I was able to do that. So I always consider dentists to be the first healthcare professional to recognize and identify a wide variety of diseases. So ranging from hypertension to oral cancer, for example. So, it was, rewarding for me to be in that upfront and basically using all these modern era, healthcare uh, uh, tools in dentistry and utilize this advanced technology, like, for example, digital dentistry, computer, and any of that in diagnosis phases of the patient. And I think all those make it very appealing and exciting. To answer your questions in more details and talk about my goals, I have to say I also wanted to complete a specialty program in the US. So I came as a dentist. I was already a dentist when I came to US, and that was my goal. I didn't want to go through the advanced standing program initially, even though I know that would limit my practice to certain US state. But my goal basically was to learn how to reconstruct, change, improve, and transform people oral and overall health by creating high standard and exceptional result that not only was aesthetically pleasant, but also functional. So I wanted to educate the general public and the importance of oral health and the disease prevention. So, and I wanted to be upfront, one of the promoter of the healthcare. So I decided to apply for prosthodontics. So I think I always look at it as, prosthodontics being the quarterback of all the specialty in dentistry. I may be biased there, but this is how I feel. And, maybe you feel the same way. Now, so with that said, I also wanted to learn how to place implant and take care of some of the surgical procedures, when I work and I might just face. So, plus that I was interested really in research because I'm one of those people that I always have too many questions, and it was always surprising for me when I was working with my resident and a student, and I would ask them, do you have any question? What do you want to do for your research? And they would just look at me, just said, I don't have any question. So, but I did have, and I do have many questions that I like to find answer for them myself. So I decided in conjunction to also pursue, my master degree in biomaterial science. So, also, I wanted to be close to family. As I said, my uncle, my cousin were in New York. And so, that was one of the places that I wanted to be. So I applied for NYU. I preferred that for many other reasons. Unfortunately, I could do all of whatever I wanted at postgraduate master and learn more implant from one of my very great mentor at NYU. So that, came to the conclusion that I came up to that understanding, and then I had to turn the odds in my favor. So what I had to do, basically, I had to do my own due diligence, and I had to complete all the tests, exam, and prepare my application. I have to say that, honestly, the road to gaining admission into U.S. dental school, it's often seems very uphill battle, but by being focused and working hard, it's definitely achievable. So after I completed my certificate in prosthodontics and my master degree in biomaterial science, I decided it was at that point actually that I decided that I wanted to stay in US. I wanted to stay here to teach, do some research, and eventually practice dentistry. So luckily, Tufts University School of Dental Medicine was offering, and still does, a faculty track D&D program. And one of my dear faculty at NYU suggested that, perhaps I should apply, which I did. And shortly after, I got the position and I moved to Boston. That was 2001. So I started my role as a full-time faculty, and not to make you too tired, but at the same time that I was full-time faculty at Tufts, I started directing the biomaterial science course, because previously they really didn't have a very constructive course. So I started that basically from scratch. And I was also finishing up my requirement for my DMD program. And I was working in faculty practice and seeing some patients on the side and doing another program, an implant fellowship program at Harvard, plus some research on the side. So I graduated and I moved to Boston. Perhaps I thought that would be easier, or I would have more time for me, but it didn't turn out like that. But, it ended up, I was really working, I have to say, maybe 6-7 days a week, and I really truly enjoyed it. So in 2004, I received my DMD degree and license to practice, in East Coast. So I started working outside in a private practice, and several years later, I took some leadership courses. And I highly recommend those courses because it basically, it makes you, different person, and you really learn a lot about yourself and who you are and where you want to be and what you want to do. And I think that it's a great tool and it's very helpful. It was for me. So after those courses, I, was nominated. I was lucky to get nominated, and I did a fellowship in academic leadership through Tufts University and ADIA, which is the American Dental Education Association, and got the opportunity afterwards to serve as the chair of the strategic planning steering committee at Tufts to set new direction for a school. It was 2020 vision. So, and during all those time, I also served as an advisor for American Association of Women Dentists. I was part of, and I'm still are, part of many organizations and a part of the committees. I published many research, the outcomes that I gathered as in different journals. I wrote few book chapters, and I review and are still reviewing manuscript and giving CE courses, in a different cities, different places. And I work also as a consultant for some major companies, and design a few instruments. And one of them is a friction wear device. So basically, instead of, it's a testing tools that you could utilize. Instead of basically running one sample at a time, you could do 5 samples, simultaneously with basically separate, results. So it's like it would not overlap. So, saying that now that I'm a professor and, this year I'm the president of American Academy of Dental Science, I feel that I have a different perspective, as someone who has gone through all these different phases. At this point in my life, I have set new goals. I have devoted more time on learning what I need to get there, and to basically, for example, I took advantage of this unfortunate COVID-19 situation, and I got my certificate in entrepreneurship from Harvard Business Schools. And, and now I'm working on another certificate in innovation from MIT, and which hopefully they would prepare me better for my new adventure and my future opportunities. So I truly believe that, we in educations, you could do whatever you want. And I genuinely believe that you have to use your full capacity and your full, potential. And, you should experience new paths in life. It's what they all say. They say if the water stays in one place for a long, long time, it's like it's going to be rotten. It's not going to be good. So, I'm one of those people that I constantly need to be motivated, inspired, and I like to do different things in a different timing and take advantage of all the opportunities that, the US has to offer.
Completely. And you're definitely one of those role models as a dentist, as a woman, as an international person that came here with a goal, determination, a plan, but also willing to be flexible and maybe change the plan whenever things didn't go as well. And definitely you have wear a lot of hats in dentistry. You have the research aspect, you have the educator, the practice manager and owner, the active participant on organized dentistry, which I think it's super important. You talked about leadership as well. You have so many leadership roles in your career. Out of all of those experiences and decisions in which you drove your career, which ones do you think had the biggest impact to who you are right now?
I think somehow you said it. I think I'm one of those people that I set goals. So the real benefit of goal setting lies in setting and working toward them. So writing down a goal and working toward it has a very powerful ability to make you feel motivated, inspired, and that you are doing something meaningful with your life. So carefully setting and working toward goals can have a huge impact on anybody's life, be it on my life. Nonetheless, the other decision, like choosing a career that you love and I was passionate about and enjoy doing so, had a huge impact on my success. So it's almost always a smart idea to choose a career or hobby even that aligns beautifully with your brain style, with your organic talent, skill, or interest. This way you can experience what they call the sensation of flow. So that basically means like 3 hours of work could feel like 3 minutes. So I made decision based on who I actually am and what I really want. It may took me or takes me in a different direction from society well-worn paths. But at the end, it always leads me to a more joyful experiences because I chose that and I wanted it and I was motivated or inspired or, to go through that path. So I think your choice of a career or let's say hobby even, because your job could be your hobby. It's among the most important of your life decisions that you could ever make. So you have to really, really think about, making a right decision when it comes to, choosing your career. And I think passion is the context in which true success would happen. So, without, basically right decision and, choosing the right career and being passionate about that and setting goals, I wouldn't be able to get where I am today.
It it's so powerful how the goal setting align with the things that I guess they happen in life when you follow a career path that really resonates with who you are as a person, having that realization or understanding of who you are as a person, what your talents are, what you can, as you mentioned, that things that flow, that you really feel that there is no such a thing as working. It's just developing, continuous development of.
And you're having fun and you enjoy doing it. So I think that's the key. That's the key to true success. Basically, I can't even explain it better. If you love what you do, you're just having fun, you're enjoying it. And I think it shows, and many times, often, I never understood it. My patient would look at me and just say, "Oh, you're having so much fun, you're enjoying this." And I said, absolutely, it was obvious, that I'm enjoying my work, and times just absolutely just flies, when you enjoy what you do.
That's a beautiful thing when you really work from your heart on everything you do, from your patients for sure, because it's a human being that you are impacting, but from in any perspective. But I guess
I think that goes for you as well, knowing you and seeing you and working with you in a different setting. And I think you are one of those people that love dentistry, wanted to be a dentist, and you really truly enjoy doing it.
oh, so much. It's my joy. Everything related with dentistry is my joy. Having conversations like this is a joy to me because I feel that everyone's path is definitely different, but hearing how important it is to connect with who you are as a person and how you can really bring something to the world that aligns with your personal goals and dreams professionally is really profound. And I guess that will help you overcome any obstacle if you have any obstacles. But I wonder, which of the obstacles that you experience in this journey have, I guess, the biggest influence or you're most proud of overcoming?
So believe it or not, I think fear of change. So when I decided to move to US to pursue my dream, and like many others, I was truly happy and excited. I couldn't sleep the night before, but at the same time, I was very nervous and scared of unknown. But somehow I learned that there are few obstacles that cannot be overcome. So I trained myself to always be ready to face unexpected obstacles and setbacks that could, get in my way. So it's probably safe to say that every goal we set in life that comes with array of landmines. These landmines typically manifest themselves into problems that we must figure out how to overcome. The problem for me, was some cultural differences, language barrier. I knew how to speak English, but to carry on a conversation, in a deeper level, facing some financial obstacle, visa issue, getting into a program or a school that I love in a city or a state that I wanted to be and feel safe about that. So I had to make a plan for me and I had to be very focused, and I made enough time to structure that plan in order to reach my goals. So I had sacrifices, a lot of free time, and I know you did as well, but it's like what they say, no pain, no gain. I believe that growth, honestly, it's a painful process, and there is no growth without hard work. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't for me. So no matter how hard it got, I was really, focused, and I stay focused, and I stay with my plan, that the plan that I constructed for me. Um, and I made that my priorities, and I kept moving forward until I was done and I achieved it. So I rearranged my life, based on that, because I wanted to get there. And I think the pride and the confidence that you get, from achieving and going through that process, it's really cannot be explained, and I cannot, explain that. But, I was truly, believe that, I can do it. So I made that, my goal. So another thing that I think I learned in life, and I'm pretty good at, it's working well under pressure. So to tell you a story, I remember, as I told you, that, and I applied and I got a job offer at Tufts University to work as a faculty and do my DMD program there, and then I came, in early summer, and I got the interview and I got the position shortly after, but I haven't finished my postgraduate class and my master yet. So I made it my thing, so basically, I knew that I needed to finish those, and as soon as I could. So I worked very hard night and day, honestly, without barely getting, much sleep. And I wanted to finish them on time so I could move to Boston from New York City and to start my new job and the new chapter of my life. So I believe when you face any unexpected struggle or challenge, you have to find ways too quickly to resolve it within a limited period of time. You don't want to linger on or let it linger on for a long, long time. So it was challenging, but, I was relieved and I was really it was really rewarding for me when I managed to finish everything online and meet my deadlines and, move to Boston and start the next chapter of my life. So saying that also, I want to share this with you and with the audience that now as a professor, as a president of an organization, as a practitioner, researcher, I still face many challenges and obstacles. So that could be different challenges, like, for example, developing an understanding of the university structure, adapting or adopting the culture and language of academia, establishing a balance between personal life and work life, and developing a more definitive understanding from my career. So at some point, I was a full-time faculty and I was working in a different practice as for a very, like a day or two part-time. I would consider it part-time. Then I started a practice from scratch because I just wanted to show everyone that I could do that too, so I'm not just only academia and researcher, because there is a mindset sometime in, US, and I don't know if any country people say, people that they are in academia, they might not be a great practitioner or business person. So I started a practice from scratch, and I actually purchased the practice from a very good, great faculty in Perio department at Tufts. So, and I basically, worked very hard to just make it, the state of art and really a great practice, for myself. So my role constantly was changing. So because of that, that was my baby now. So I had to basically give up some of the teaching, and to concentrate and focus more on, on the practice and running, or basically, doing the business. So, saying that, now, I had other responsibilities as well, too many other responsibility, and those obstacles, they didn't go away. There were different obstacles. So what I'm trying to say that you always gonna have obstacles and challenges throughout your life. It's your personality and how you deal with those. And, and if you have time, I could mention few tips that I have learned to overcome some of these obstacles for me. Would that be okay?
Yes, absolutely.
So I always say, don't complain. I'm one of the people that I'm really always get upset when people complain too much, because I say, ask for help, ask for suggestion from people that may have been in similar situations, and you should be willing to help yourself. People cannot do it for you. So get on with it and just do it, right? The other thing I would just say, face it. What I mean by that is that if you have any issue, right, do something about it. If whatever you are doing doesn't work for you, just try something else. Do anything, but the same thing that you previously have done and didn't work for you. So when I lecture, and I think some of my, residents enjoy that, I always say that, it's an insanity. And I have a definition for insanity. That is repeating the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. So, I would just say if it doesn't work for you, either face it, accept it, or change your path and do something different. Another thing is that try, and it's not easy sometimes, but try to always and always and always to stay positive, and be realistic. Realize that you may not get the outcome that you want, but rather, we sometimes get what we need, right? So sometimes the timing might not be the right timing for you, so you have to be patient. And that doesn't mean that it might not happen or you might not get it, so being patient and be realistic about your dreams, that's something that, I learned to basically, live with. So the other tip that I could give you, it's, I always say break it down. What I mean by that, so sometimes you're facing, a big obstacle in your life. And I'm sure that you could break it into smaller obstacle and try to basically face the little one and, find solution and resolution to resolve those, right? And don't get panicked, because sometimes, you get paralyzed and you get upset and you end up not dealing with it at all, versus to break it into pieces and try to basically manage and find a way to resolve it. The last thing that I could say to overcome obstacle, and I think everybody said, communication, and they say communication is key to your success, but it's also, I found communication that being a key to tackle any challenges. So I have found asking questions sometimes is the best way to start dealing with the challenging situations. And that basically, I think all this, over time, and I go through any challenging situation, and I've said, as I told you, it really doesn't end. You have different challenges in a different stage of your life. So finding ways to manage, deal with, resolve, or accept those challenges, the way that works for you, I think that puts you in ease and makes it easier for you to move forward toward your goals.
Those are great advices, all of them. And they really correlate one with the other. You basically don't complain. If you complain, it's because you're not doing anything to change your reality. If you want to change your reality, you need to ask advice for people that have been through the same path as you. And something very key that I loved you mentioned is how important it is to break a big thing into smaller things, which I think it applies to goals as well. And many times you mention a word that I feel is really key to bring it back to, which is fear. How many times we don't jump into something because of fear? And once you accomplish that thing, what the pride that comes after accomplishing a goal that you were so fearful about, it reminds you that it's okay to have fear. I think all of us, and you probably tell me if it's your experience, do we all have fears when we experience something new, right?
Oh, absolutely. I that's what I said. It's like but you shouldn't, that's what I always said, we were afraid to move to US, afraid to start something with limited financial resources, visa issues, many obstacles, that go over, but we all did it and we are here. So that I always say, if you break it down and don't let yourself to panic and, be paralyzed. So face it and, try to break it down into pieces and deal with them one by one and check mark. Okay, I've done that. So now next, and moving forward, and just keep moving forward. I think that has been the key for me, and I'm sure that's for you. Sounds like it's for you. It's been the same.
Yeah, totally. I resonate a lot with every of your advices, and there's certain things that you learn more with the years and experience and more situations. Every phase of your life brings up different obstacles, and you cannot be ready for all of them. But you need to have a plan. I'm a planner too. Have a plan. Stick to the plan. If plan A doesn't work, then you have to start revisiting the plan. But it has to come from a place of understanding that these things are going to happen, and there's everybody went through those. This is nothing unique you're experiencing. So that's why it's so important. And the value of having these conversations is to break down that fear of like, is it only me that is going through all this? When really all of us have been through different challenges. If you could go back in time, I know that you have lived multiple experiences and in every level. And I hate asking if you could change something because we learn from our mistakes too. But if you could do something different, what will it be and why?
Well, so, honestly, I think this is the one of the toughest question that you could ask me. And I don't want to be philosophical here, but, hear me out here because I have a different perspective when it comes to life. So, my thoughts on that is that, I truly live for now at present, not even for tomorrow. And I believe the past is behind us for a reason. So I do have very few what ifs in my life, and I believe in living with no regrets. It might sounds not, what you wanted to hear, but I developed that. And it's a mindset that I adopted that, very long time ago. So as you said it, we all make mistakes in life and we shouldn't dwell on the past. So we should learn from it, right? And we can use that lesson to be better in future. So I don't believe in regrets, which means I wouldn't want to change the past, right? I accept the event of life and have no genuine desire to change that. Hear me out here. Because I accepted that I cannot really control everything in life. And by living with no regrets, I think that allows me to accept my past. So we all have made mistakes and we all have room to improve, no doubt about that. And I'm no different in that respect. But the way I'm different, and I maybe think differently or approach life differently is that, that why I believe, or I do believe that you have to be more deliberate, right? With the decision and action you are taking today. So you have to acknowledge how you would do things differently and use that knowledge to perhaps do better today, but wouldn't go back and change anything if I could go back and do it all over, However, it seems obvious to me that, if we offer a second chance and to go back and correct things, and I think most people would easily, without a doubt, choose to go back and have the opportunity to redo or undo many things or do things differently. That's simply because none of us are perfect and nobody lived a perfect mistake-free life up to this day. And I don't think I would have the patience and discipline to sit back and not change anything either, right? But I think I would feel inclined to change or stop some of the bad things, that, I knew that would have happened in my life or my loved one lives, But again, back to my philosophy of life, I think every decisions that I make, I really truly study that, and through, that, I basically accepted the consequences. And I did my best with all the knowledge that I had in that moment to make the best decisions for me in that point of time. So truly, I gave all I got so that I wouldn't have regrets or needs to change anything in the future. When I say that, sometimes people say, oh, you don't have any regrets. So I said no, because I really always try very hard. And I told you my brain is very structured. I have compartment and I put everything, in perspective. So I think with this philosophy that I adopted and with this mindset, I accepted the stuff that I cannot change or control, and basically, try to move forward instead of thinking, going back. I use my mistakes and also my success to my advantages and I use that knowledge to do better in the future. I hope that answered your questions. Might not be what you expected, but
Boy, it's a very difficult question. It's one of those things. And you talked about having a philosophy of life. And I feel that once you come to that realization or have that emotional intelligence to understand that even if you have a choice to go back and change, you are a construction of all of your decisions. And if all of those decisions are deliberate decisions that you had some thought about it and you really did the best you have with the best you could with the information you had at that time.
absolutely, absolutely. This is the key, actually, what you just said. Because in that moment, I'm a modest person, you are a modest person, but you're intelligent people, right? So, and we really study, and we look at the situation and in a different ways. And you made the decision that you felt in that moment with all the information that you gathered, it's going to serve you the best. So it wouldn't be fair, in few years that and I hear people say, oh, I shouldn't have done that. So always, object to that, because I just said, you saying it now, if you had the information that you have today, most probably you wouldn't do that, or maybe you would have choose a different path. So I don't think it would be fair to say, what would be, what I would do differently. But as I said, it comes down to the philosophy of life and accepting things and basically making the best and living in present and enjoying the moment and do your best today, because today it's going to be your past. So if you make it, make the best, of whatever you could do to make this today is your best day, then it would be accumulation of these great days that you had, and that would be your past. So you don't have to go back and change anything.
That is actually inspirational. I hope that we could all live to that point of life of saying every decision I made was so deliberate that there is nothing I will change back. And I guess the key point here is what you mentioned about having enough information. Now that you have so much information about what this process is about, what the path of dentistry in the US is for a educator, a professional in a practice, an entrepreneur, a business owner, a leader, having all the knowledge that you have right now, if you could give a piece of advice to an international dentist coming to the United States or considering to come to the United States, or a collection of advice, what will those be?
Thank you so much. You're awesome, and I'm grateful, and also I'm blushing here. You're very kind, and you're very generous with your with anything you say about me. But I do have a lot of advice, and I don't know how much time we have, but I could basically, go through all that if we do have time.
Yes, let's.
So, yeah. So the first thing I think, I'm just gonna categorize and go by order if you don't mind. And as I said, I'm used to that. Prosthodontics, we love a structure, and organized thoughts. So anyhow, I think get your ECE or WES evaluation. ECE stands for Educational Credential Evaluators, and WES stands for World Education Services. So it's good to start at this point if you're deciding to come to United States, since You will need to get your school transcripts in order. Almost all schools accept ECE reports, and the documents required for ECE will depends on the country of your origin or where you went, to schools. So all documents need to be in English or and translated word to word. Most of these documents need to be original and sealed from the issuing university. So that's the first thing. The second, take your TOEFL exam or GRE or both, but look into it, and look at the schools that you are planning to apply, because some of the schools might actually require both, tests. Obtain a dent pin, DENTPIN, which stands for Dental Personal Identifier Number. It's a unique personal identifier for professionals and students involved with the U.S. dental education system and standardized testing programs. So you must retrieve or register for a dent pin and use it to apply it to dental education program or application services, apply for a test, or request a test score. You could find that most probably on the ADA website. Begin and, set a date to take your National Board Dental Exam Part 1. You will most probably need to get an eligibility letter from the dean of your dental school to apply for the board. At this time, it would be good time for you to perhaps to, apply for your visa. If you're not a citizen or you're not a permanent resident and you need to obtain a visa to come to United States, because you could show them that you schedule a test date, national board, and you have to take a test. Get your letters of recommendation and spend plenty of time on coming up with a strong personal statement and a well-written resume or CV. So your personal statement, in my opinion, it's one of the most significant factors in making or breaking you entry into the dental school. Once you have all that and you have the result, then, the result of National Board Part 1, my opinion is don't waste your time and schedule your Part 2 and get it. So many schools may not need both, or some program might not need either. But if you are planning to stay in the United States, I think it's, beneficiary to perhaps apply. And if you can, and if the time allows, to get it on with and basically, complete both exams. Then start applying to dental school, through the American Dental Education Association centralized application for advanced placement for international dentists. It's a long name. That's ADIA, CAAAPID. So that's the name. I didn't make up that name. It's a name. So ADIA CAPI, which is a centralized application service for foreign educated dental graduates who wish to apply to participate in advanced standing dental program in United States and even Canada. So it saves you time and energy by completing one application for multiple programs. And I strongly recommend that you submit your application well in advance, because, many schools, they have this rolling admission. What that means that once they have enough applicants, they start interviewing the candidates. So you don't want to miss the deadline and you don't want it to miss that opportunity. After that, start following up with universities, and perhaps, you get accepted. Then if you're lucky, you start, preparing yourself for interview, that which I truly believe that you have to take it very serious and get prepared for that. If you, for any reason, if you haven't received an interview call, then I recommend and suggest to follow up with universities via email. And don't feel discouraged because someone may have dropped out of the position that have accepted. And that would be a good opportunity for you. If you persisted, you might just get that position. The worst case scenario is that you don't get accepted into any of the program. Then my advice is to keep your head up, keep your spirits up, and try to find areas that you could improve your application. Perhaps doing some research, being some intern, getting some experiences, and then you get ready to basically send your application for the next cycle. I do have a few additional points, and I hope that we have time, so I could just go over that with you. So you can practice after you finish your degree and everything, or your postgraduate, whatever you finish in US, you can practice in the United States if you get through any US-based CODA accredited and approved specialty. Because there are a lot of one-year programs that they might not be CODA accredited, so that would not help you. Only thing is that your practice will be limited to certain states. So I would advise you to research different universities and specialty, and when international students, see where they accept them, right? Because most programs are tuition based, and I am sure that you know that, but that means that you have to pay for for that. So that makes sure that you know that and you are ready for the financial burden, For foreign educated dentists, also make sure that you learn the steps, if you decide to stay and practice in US, and there are different websites, advanced study program for foreign trained dentists, different university offer that, not all university offer that. So you have to basically know that, and you have to basically make plans ahead of time. As you might know, dental education, unfortunately, is very expensive in US. If you have the resources, good for you. Then, I would honestly, perhaps suggest that maybe you just come here early if you could do that. Maybe you're in your middle school, high school, or college, so you are here early on, But if you decided to come later, and if you finish your dental degree in a different country and you want to come for your postgraduate, or I have, people asking me that they just don't want to go through the postgraduate or master or any, advanced program, and they just wanted to be able to get the license and practice here. So then you have to know that you have to study for 2 or 3 years, or sometimes you have to, depending on which state you're going to be or which university you're going to be, and you might end up redoing most of the training again. So it's really important that which United States, if you are in United States, which school you're choosing. Also, just for your information, if you decided to go to, pursue like a postgraduate program, there are 9 recognized dental specialty in US, and there are dental public health, endodontics, or maxillofacial pathology, or maxillofacial, surgery, orthodontics, and pediatric dentistry, periodontics, and prosthodontics. So advances in clinical care in dentistry have been dramatic and truly rewarding if you decided to go through any of this specialty and through this journey. Saying all that, at the end, I wanted to give you all a friendly advice, and I wanted to basically tell you that, I think if I did it, you can do it too. If we have gone through all these challenges and obstacles and honestly, I didn't have a lot of help, but I have to tell you, I did have great mentors, and those were my faculties, my teachers that I admire a lot, throughout my career. And, but at the end of the day, I think it's you. So you should take full charge of your life and be the leader of your destiny. When you do, you could look at your life and say, I'm here and I wanted to be, here because of myself and the choices and decisions that I made throughout my life. And if for any reason, if you didn't make it, and it didn't happen for you that in that time period, you could just go back and say something like, I could make a positive change and I could redo it and I could choose a different path and just be optimistic. Nike slogan, I don't know if perhaps you know that, it's just do it. And I love that because I think it's one of the best in advertising. And for me, it's like getting up, making things happen in the way that you become the leader of your life, and you reach your full capacity and your full potential. That's for me, it's beautiful. So if you want to take something, off of all this, like everything that I said, it would be don't give up, don't settle. And if you really wanted to do it, get on with it and make it happen.
Wow, that was amazing. There was not only like great summary through everything that an international student has to go through from A to Z. So you're the perfect educator. Like we know already, and our audience has that very clear. Thank you for that, and also for sharing that piece of friendly advice, which is, I think, the driving force of all of us. Find your path and fight for it. Become the CEO of your life. Be responsible from your decisions and own your success and own your failures as well, as they all shape us.
Right. Absolutely true. And honestly, this is a great program. And, I hope that, sharing my story and sharing some of the tips and the philosophy, my life philosophy and the way that I approach the things, and I did approach things, would help other foreign trained dentists to find the viable option to pursue the dream and to come here and study or practice dentistry in United States.
I'm sure he will. I cannot imagine one person that wouldn't be inspired by this conversation. Thank you so much, Dr. Zandparsa. It's been an honor and a pleasure to have this chat with you, to hear from you, and to continue to be inspired. For our audience, we know each other from different environments at work. You were also my teacher, so it's been an honor for me to listen to everything that you have to share. You're always been one of those people that I look after and admire, and I want you to know that. I know that I probably say it before, but I want to make sure I repeat myself because it's important to highlight the goods of people. And I just want to say thank you so much.
I wanted to thank you for putting together such a beautiful program, and thank you for inviting me and having me. And I truly appreciate your kind words, and good luck with the rest of the program. And if I can be help to anyone, any foreign trained dentist, I don't mind sharing my, contact information, and if they wanted to reach out to me, I would be, here to help. And hopefully, they could just make their life journey.
I will make sure I'll leave your contact information for your social media accounts and your website for your practice in the description box. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.